So, you guys had arrived in the city of Flamebridge last session after making a quick stop at the Smelted Mug, which was Flint's old watering hole in the inner city, where you met Thok, the half-orc. You made your way to the Source Institute to try to meet with Arcana as well. Troubleshooting something already? Oh, weird. Just noticing something in the stream interface, but it doesn't matter. Once you arrived at the Source Institute, some things were not working as smoothly as they are supposed to. There's been lightning strikes outside of the tower, the arcane batteries on the fritz, students are misbehaving, and Arcana is supposedly locked away in his sanctum. A blue tiefling professor named Azure Veil promised to bring you to Arcana, but asked for your help in securing the monster stables, which is where you are now. You fought an ice troll and locked several doors, but then curiosity got the better of you, and you unlocked the door that revealed a chimera. So we are going to... Oops, I selected something I should not have selected. We are going to roll initiative. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this, but if it's ever like, I have a button that I could roll initiative automatically for everybody, but I want to like let people roll their own initiative. So I kind of
like failing miserably. That's
okay.
I enjoy it.
Fair. Alrighty. My game froze. My game already froze. Okay, we're good. It's starting. Drada, you are up.
Cool.
You are concentrating on Hunter's Mark, but I don't think you have applied it yet, just as a reminder.
That was my question of, do I need to use bonus action to apply it? Great. Bonus action. Actually, mathing it out, it'd be the same as sneak attack. So bonus action. Oh, look, there's a new, very large, very angry friend who's right there. Throw Hunter's Mark on the Chimera, and then shot.
Do it. I think the move Hunter's Mark might be under... well, there's maybe a button for it. Or just cast it again and don't spend the spell slot. Yeah, you might just have to cast it again and not use the spell slot.
Okay, cool. Great. This is good.
I think it oh, there you go. Okay.
Yep.
We are good.
Incredible. Then
yeah, Clax is enabling sneak attack.
Love to see it, folks.
And it'll only ask you if it's eligible. So if you see it, you can just click it.
Oh, that's lovely. That's so convenient. Thank you.
All right, Drada's unloading.
You love to see it, folks.
You know, it's like I recognize that you guys are strong sometimes, and then I see Drada do nearly 60 damage in one round of attacks.
Hey, we're not even as broken as we could be. Incredible. And then I think he'd use his movement to, I mean, he can't mechanically take a hide action, but like duck and cover in the stairs best he can.
Sure. Very well. Is that your turn?
I believe that's my turn.
All right. Aesop is me, unless somebody wants to play as Aesop in combat. But yeah, I assume people already have their own spells to think about. So let me see what the deal is. What was the spell he used to... Oh, he's actually pretty low on spell slots. In some cases. Aesop just sort of chimes in and says, did we really have to open the door? And we'll go ahead and... Wow. It's just interesting to look at somebody's character and realize they don't have that many offensive spells that aren't high-level spells. I'm going to go ahead and cast Fairy Fire. And does successfully sort of manage to bypass the Chimera's willpower in order to make it start growing a bright green. And Flint.
Does this look like something where we could potentially shut the door, or is
so this is like a big safe sort of vault door. After the game, after you opened it, I decided to split it up into 3 doors, so because it would take some effort to pull. So if you choose to try to slam the door shut, it'll take 3 item interactions to do.
Interesting. But it opened sort of like towards us. Like it opened outward?
Like it kind of would have sort of smashed your Eldritch Cannon a little bit, except it's really tiny.
Okay.
So it opened westward.
I might try to potentially move. Yeah, maybe I'll move my cannon a little bit. Well, first I'll just, because it's easy, I'll use my cannon's protector ability. And give as small a number as possible. Although, that may have just added.
Yes, there's a bug right now where it stacks. So just if everybody could go to their temp HP and make sure you have no more than 7, or probably no more than 7. Yeah.
Why did that make me make a Constitution? Oh, it thinks I took damage. Oh.
Because you lost temp 8 points. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to try and maybe shift my Eldritch Cannon down, and I might take a step over here and try to Thunder Wave sort of at the Chimera, but sort of maybe at the door to see if I can push it closed. And you know what? I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it using the new fancy bar. Cast level 2 slots. Let me make sure I'm like targeting the thing. All right.
Guess I'll make a saving throw for the door. Quite know what that would be. All right, the damage on that was not incredibly high. What I'm going to say is that is the DC for this door to not swing closed. And this is a sort of like heavy iron door, so I'm giving it a +5. Just it failed. But Clax, could you give me a sort of just dexterity saving throw?
Your thing?
You're not in the thunder wave, but you're in the way of the door. Okay, so...
yeah, I have Bardic Inspiration, but I'm not going to burn it for that. I think I'm going to try and save with that.
Yeah, I think you are fine. So you have 2 choices. You could go in the door with it or back up?
Oh, we're going in.
You're going in.
Okay.
All right. This battle gets more interesting. As the door closes, you hear that familiar voice saying, locking mechanism engaged.
Oh.
Okay.
See if I'm gonna make a friend.
Is that your turn?
Yeah, that's my turn. Oh, right. There's probably an end turn button, isn't there?
Yeah, you're good. The door swings closed, and you see Klax. This kind, like, what is your intention at this moment?
My intention?
Yes.
I don't think I've thought that far ahead yet.
You look at it, and it looks like reasonably hurt already, but not on death's door. Like, Drata packs a punch.
I think I'm here for a good time, so let's go at it.
All right. I think it sort of, you've heard it howling in pain over just the last 3 seconds. And when it sort of makes an effort to claw past the door to get revenge, it looks down and only sees you. I think it will make all of its attacks on you. First starting with its horns, and then following up with claws, and then a single bite attack.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, you're good.
I didn't.
So-
I just realized you had all these reaction options.
All good, all good. Oh, hold on, it's give me a timer on us. Oh god. All right. So, first things first. Let's. Since I'm pooping myself a little, and there's no other way around it, you're just going to see kind of a shimmer appear right around me, and I'm going to pop that. And then that goes off, and then next thing is on if any of those miss, I'm going to go ahead and burn a superiority die and do riposte.
Well, it's a reaction to cast shield.
Oh, never mind. Yep, so that I'm sitting tight.
Yeah, so go ahead and close those other bars
Okay,
because I left them all open.
All right, thank you.
I think your friends do not see this, but you might have heard it. There was sort of this deep laugh within the room with you as you activate that shield. It's sort of like otherworldly, very low laugh as this pops up in front of you and shields off one of the blows. And the Chimera stares you down.
I think one of them did still hit, though, correct?
Yes. And it, because of, yes.
Yep.
Mouse, go ahead and let me figure out the damage, but then Mouse, go ahead. And no, it didn't, actually.
Oh.
Your armor is 26 with the shield.
Yeah, I thought. Oh, it was 25. Okay, I was looking at the wrong spot. Still getting used to. Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea what to do.
I think I'm gonna have to lockpick this door again. Do you have a way to make me better at that, or just buffs in general for when we
Or
do?
we can
open the
just
door?
trust that Klax is going to be totally fine, and he'll open the door on his own time.
Well, he's locked in there. I think. Yeah.
He's strong. Don't worry about it.
I will take. Nope, I can't move that way. I'll stay put and hold a guiding bolt for if I see the bad guy.
See what you did, Klax. Just jumping in there. All right. Klax.
All right. Going to just dive right in and start making attacks at the big beast. All right. So, and let's do this. Oh, I did select a target. Try this again. There we go.
And it is still affected by the fairy fire.
Oh,
so
fairy fire,
you're getting
okay.
advantage on all these attacks.
Okay, got it. So I should be good on that. For the first one is 23 to hit for 11 damage, and then second attack. I do like this new menu. It is pretty awesome. 28, nope, and horrible damage rolls. And that's the attack action. Do I want to burn? Might as well. Gonna go ahead and. God, this is embarrassing. We've done it. It's been so long. So I have 2 attacks in this single action. I'm going to action surge
To get 2 more attacks.
Correct. All right, there we go. I feel so dumb.
Nope,
I do
you're good.
apologize. Now I just need to find action surge. Bear with me.
I think it's under.
All right, there it is. Got it. Usability. All right, and then just missing. Nope. Oh, horrible damage rolls. And then attack rolls have been great. Come on, big roll, big roll, big roll. Oh, I haven't rolled above a 4 on 4 of them. Jesus. Okay, and I'm going to keep my. Well, it's a reaction, so that's all right. I think. Do I have a bonus action real quick?
Yeah, you
Think-
do have a few bonus actions, but
Yeah.
not many.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there any of them are. Yeah, I think I'm good right now. So that's it. And then just if there's anywhere I can move for a slightly better spot, I will. But if not, sit tight.
So what? So you're squaring off with this 3-headed creature in the room, and you're. What does your action surge look like in this moment?
So the action surge just kind of put me on the spot. Yeah, just pretty much I attack twice and then just kind of let out a yell and jump forward with uncanny speed for a big dragonborn.
There you go. And this creature is just sort of. I think it's already in a situation where it's cornered vis-a-vis sort of being on a ball and chain in a locked room, but as it is sort of assaulted in this way, you see it just sort of scrambling to figure out how to survive the situation. But very much hostile. Drada.
Okay, Klax just screamed, do we think that was a battle cry, or I'm being killed mercilessly?
I mean, I think Dragon beats Chimera, so he's probably fine.
Great, incredible. Do you want help with the door, or do you want to open the door and I'll shoot things very quickly?
I am currently planning to try to open the door again.
Great.
I remember it being a pretty hard lock, so we'll see how that goes.
Incredible. Drada will ready some shots.
Alrighty. All right. Aesop says, that's... Aesop looks at this and says, this is not quite how I planned on doing this, but is going to grab you, Drada, and it's going to dimension door you both in the room.
Incredible.
Or mouse. I guess Aesop looks at both of you, having readied something.
Sure, okay, this will be interesting.
Pointing dramatically.
At Drada.
Yes. Mouse doesn't want to be in the room.
All right, Drada, you are teleported to the inside of the room with your weapon action prepared.
It's a cool animation.
That was a cool animation. I will use sneak attack.
I think when you hold an action, you only get 1 attack. Could be wrong. Hold on.
I know it uses up your reaction or something like that, but I thought you still got the full attack action. but
No, the extra attack feature is worded so you only benefit from the attack on your turn. Sorry. I did not... I knew it was buried in the back of my head somewhere, but I probably should have told you that in advance.
Okay, so then I would just attack once and then bonus action.
Technically,
Or
no. Yeah. You hold your attack, you hold an attack as a reaction, kind of like an opportunity attack.
Okay.
Like you're only getting one attack from it.
Okay, cool.
Sorry for.
No,
I mean,
you're
it's
good.
still a big hit, but sorry for that.
No, you're good. I will happily take it. And then...
Oh, and this is technically Aesop's turn.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so you can appear in a different square if you'd have liked to. So feel free to do that. Oh. You seem to have attacked yourself. I will fix. Just hit yourself and I'll fix it. Flint.
Cool.
I am going to attempt to lockpick this door.
Alrighty. The DC is 25.
Let's see here. I need to do Thieves' Tools. Is this considering my expertise? It is, and it's using my dexterity. And I'm just going to go ahead and preemptively use Flash of Genius on this roll. And try and remember back to the first time I picked the lock.
I'll give you advantage because you've picked this lock before.
Cool. I will take that.
You know how to do it.
And I
Okay, yeah.
hit
You're
a plus. I don't. That's not including my Flash of Genius, which would be an extra +5, I think.
yes, but the DC was 25, so I think you're
Oh.
good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm assuming that is my action. To
To lockpick it, yes.
do I have the capacity to also try and start opening the door? Or
Yeah, I think you can open the door with your item interaction, which will trigger Mouse to take the guiding bolt.
That is
Oh.
a big number.
I don't know how that number happened.
I have so many questions.
I think that's cover. I think you had Aesop targeted, but you don't see Aesop.
Oh,
I
weird.
tried to click the Chimera.
It's okay.
And because I did burn that reaction, I updated my health. Took back the 9 and
Okay.
And I will just bonus action use my protector now that there's some visibility. Although everybody's gonna have to go in and update this again.
Well,
Oh.
it's only
I guess-
targeting a couple people right there.
Yeah, that's
Mouse, you can feel free to redo that shot if you'd like, because I know that was against Aesop.
I mean, did you just want the 21? Like, it did roll an attack.
Oh, just roll me another d20 because it would technically be advantage with the fairy fire. Okay, yeah, that would still hit. So go ahead and roll the 4d. Is it 4d6? Yep, 46. Okay.
is Guiding Bolt really 4d6?
Yep,
God,
pretty
Guiding
good.
Bolt is so good.
it's pretty good.
Alrighty. So make sure if you could. I see you managing the temp HP of yourself, Flint. If you could also be managing the temp HP of the cannon itself.
Oh, didn't I forget that the cannon has HP?
Yeah, that's all good. All right. So Flint, I believe that was your turn, unless you want to move at all.
Nah, I'm good.
All right. The Chimera is up and sees hell continuing to break loose. I'm just going to read a thing. it can make 3 attacks, one with its bite, horns, and claws, and the fire breath can be available in place of the bite or the horns. So it is going to claw at Klax, who is just sort of immediately in front of it.
Nope, but I will riposte.
Do it.
Consume resource. All right.
I might actually
Nope.
just kill this thing. Oh, nope.
Nope,
still-
not with those damage rolls.
And it will sort of back up a little bit. It is going to attempt... I don't know what the range on this is. It's going to attempt to burn some people down. Sort of blowing a gout of fire at Flint, Klax, and the Eldritch Cannon. It didn't prompt Klax to roll that, I don't think.
No, it did. It's
Okay.
yep. So
Oh,
here,
pop
mine
it,
should show.
gotcha.
Yep.
Wait, what? Oh,
Oh, yeah,
failed, but I still
Look at this.
okay.
for your detect magic.
Yeah.
Of course, 2 of you are both Flint and Klax are resistant to fire on top of all the of taking half of that damage for Klax. And it's just going to use its final attack here to smack Klax with its horns.
Nope.
And that is its turn.
So then, since I made the saving throw, it's quarter damage from that.
It should have.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it
calculated
did.
that,
It
yeah.
did. Yep, it did. Yep. Cool.
Interesting.
Man, you've done some nice work on the back end. I just gotta give you some props.
Mod creators did all the work. I just installed the mods.
You've done a little more work than that, but
Curated the mods.
I curate, yeah. Yep. All right, Mouse. It is looking quite bad.
Throw in another guiding bolt.
It is still barely up.
I'm gonna scoot over just a hair in case it decides to shoot fire again, and
Oh,
that
sorry. I moved too fast. All right. Klax, finish it off.
all right. Go yell a big yell and jump towards it, and all right. Another one. Ugh.
But it was
Horrible damage rolls.
It was enough nonetheless. By the way, all of these sound effects, including these very loud death sounds, can be adjusted through the interface bar. If you go to the top right, the music icon, and then there's an interface dial. That's where all the sound effects are coming from.
Thank you.
Because I've just realized all these are very loud.
I'm going. Oh, it went away. Never mind.
Yeah, well, Klax killed it.
No, I clicked the wrong guiding bolt, so I was giving myself back a spell slot,
Oh.
but I was gonna cast it the other way, but my menu went away again.
Okay, I can fix it, but so you guys down this caged chimera, looking into this room, sort of seeing that this was sort of a little habitat that had been sort of burned from the inside. You get the impression that it has been looking at the inside of the door, that it had been clawing to try to escape for some time, but that the vegetation of this room has since been burned, and all you see in the corner are 3 large chimera eggs. You look at them closely, and actually 2 of them seem to have already broken, like maybe they sort of had fallen in or been hurt in some way in the past, but you see one of them still seems to be intact.
Who sees this, or is it something that we all see?
I think, I mean, as in the aftermath, they're all very visible in the corner.
No?
I mean, the left stars could use a mascot.
Yeah, I'm not on food duty. It might try and eat me.
How big are these eggs?
It could be stuffed into the bag of holding, but it probably wouldn't. I'd say it's probably about as big as you.
Have
Maybe a
they
little small.
obviously not grown up around chimeras, but other creatures that laid eggs? Do I have any kind of insight? Not saying insight as insight, but any understanding of how long ago these were laying or how close they are to hatching?
Sure. Give me a nature check. So yes, obviously you don't know much about chimeras, but I would say that the sense that you would get is sort of just by looking at it that there seems to be sort of something alive and restless inside of it. So it seems that it is somewhat formed, and you get the impression that it maybe not days away from hatching. Whatever's inside is not sort of like trying to push out of the shell right now. But you get the impression that like if it's like normal eggs or other eggs, it's probably just a couple weeks.
Should have checked before we killed the mother. I'm not sure what to do with these.
Yeah, and I'm not sure putting an egg in the bag of holding is a great idea. There's not any air in there? I assume it needs air.
I mean, I can't think of a more nurturing first environment than void.
You don't have to put it in the bag of holding, to be clear. You just could.
Yep. While I've still got detect magic, I'm just gonna walk around the room to make sure there's nothing, out of the norm. Granted, we aren't a big mage tower, so
Yeah. Go and roll a perception check for me.
sure.
I mean, I would say nothing out of the ordinary. You know that there are abjurations on this door that have been deactivated when you unlocked it. That would be sort of all that stands out.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure we're exactly equipped to take care of a chimera, so perhaps the mage tower here is better left to caring for that? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's either them or you have vague, shifty origins, Flint. If there might be someone who would be willing to purchase what could be a valuable egg, I would be happy to take monetary reward from that.
Interesting.
Hold on. You can't just sell a creature.
I mean, technically you can, but it does feel a little wrong. Granted, the mage tower here is just going to keep it in this cell for, I don't know what you harvest from a chimera, but to harvest things.
So yeah, that was my counterpoint, was that its life would be bad if it were here. Third option, no idea where chimera naturally live, but if we want to try to bring an egg back to a suitable place of rearing, that's a fun adventure.
I mean, I never really asked. Are there chimera on my island?
I roll a history check.
Mm-hmm. One of my strong suits.
You've not heard of them. This was your first time seeing one, and you've maybe heard the word before, but this is your first time like putting together what one actually was. You would also, I mean, you all would recognize this as like a monstrosity, not just like as a creature type, but that it is sort of like in that way it is a little bit unnatural. This is not something that normally would create eggs, or at least you wouldn't. It's not something that would have been born naturally. So maybe these eggs were made naturally, but it would be uncommon for it in a way.
Down for the mascot idea.
Sir.
I say we take it with us. Because honestly, at this point, I forget who mentioned it, but the reality is it's going to live a life of misery and suffering locked in a cell 24/7. For all intents and purposes, we did the mother, father, creature a favor. Because how many of you would like to be in a prison cell for your entire existence?
Okay.
Can we carry them?
I mean, it's as big as me. Klax can carry me, so.
But there are 3 of them.
Oh,
Two of them were
Two of them
broken.
were broken.
Just one.
I mean, I assume you can't just put like a live egg in a vacuum with no air and it survives. But I don't, now that I've...
For the purposes of simplicity, you can put it in the bag of holding without risk.
All right.
I mean, you might not want to keep it in there for a month if it's going to hatch in 2 weeks. That's the only asterisk I'll add.
This is fair. I'll shove it in the bag of holding. What could go wrong with a chimera and this crazy necromancer's book just floating around in a void together?
What could go wrong?
Yeah. So I will put a chimera egg in my bag.
Alrighty. Oops, I accidentally added 2 to your inventory. You only need 1.
You only need 1,
You only need 1.
but... No, alright.
So you want some eggshells.
I mean,
All
we
right.
can take an eggshell to prove that we have the other one for when we're like trying to sell it now.
Alright, so... This top floor of the tower then. Do we feel it's pretty secure? Got everything taken care of? No more locked doors for people to pry behind?
I think we thoroughly rid the tower of its pest problem. I think we're good.
Did we close all the other doors up?
Yeah, you had done that before opening this one.
All right.
All right. Well, you all head back down to try to find Azure Veil. You sort of like passing through the observatory and the sort of like lecture halls and sort of looking for some kind of guidance or feedback on where to go to find him. You find sort of like an assistant of sorts who directs you to one of the upper floors, which is where the professor's sanctums are. And after sort of stepping out, you kind of find this is one of the floors that has sort of like a balcony of sorts that rings the entire tower. But then as you're sort of walking the perimeter of the tower, looking at the sort of skyline of Flamebridge out in the distance, you are able to navigate towards the offices / sanctum of the Blue Tiefling Azure Veil. And as you enter, you kind of first hear. Go ahead and roll me a perception check before you even open the door. We'll say everybody if you'd like.
Assume this does not rely on sight.
It does not. It's a listening.
It's a closed door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worth a shot.
Flint's distracted today. This is the second nat one I've rolled on a perception check.
Mouse, and I think Drada, you're sort of at a distance from the door, as sort of Mouse's ears perk up. Drada, you at this moment you're really just hearing like angered mumbling, but Mouse, you kind of pick up on a few more of the details, and you hear kind of like the sounds of somebody talking to themselves, and you hear sort of Azurevale from behind the door saying, "The state of this place is unacceptable. Where are you, Scarlet? We need the professors to return." And then there's a pause. And then you hear sort of an additional incantation. You get the impression that you're hearing one side of like a multi-sending conversation. And Azurevale says once again, "I don't care where he sent you. Things are crazy here right now, and all support is needed. Please." And then you just hear the ruffling of papers inside the room.
Well, shall we go knock?
I was gonna say.
Well,
should we knock
I
on the
didn't
door?
hear. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. So we should do that.
I think they're having not a great time. There seems to be an argument. I can't pick the details up, but drama.
Mouse, do you hear anything?
I relay everything.
All right. Well, let's go knock on the door. Pound on the door.
Yeah, you knock on the door and it swings open from the inside, and you see like a mage hand pulls it open. And he says, "Welcome back. Excuse me, I'm just tidying up around here." And you sort of look in this office, and it's sort of like papers have been scattered everywhere, on several different desks. And it doesn't look like a madman who's like pinning strings to a wall or anything, but it is sort of like a little bit of a, somebody who's trying to puzzle something together, through looking at papers and books and things like that. And he's just sort of like, while shuffling sort of papers around on the tables, and he sort of like briefly looks up and says, "I imagine everything was taken care of." He sort of looks at Clax and says, "You got a little on your, yeah."
I'm sorry. There was a lot going on upstairs. Don't mind that.
But you guys are okay and everything's taken care of?
Is everything okay with you?
No. This school is just, I question if we're going to be in business much longer, frankly. But
I mean, perhaps we should, go summon Arcana. He'd come back and help get things in order, right?
And what were you supposed to talk to him about again?
He summoned us.
Forgive me. And where did you meet him? And Aesop will sort of chime in and say, I met him at the Tournament of Tales. He was one of the judges. And Azurevale says, okay. I remember he went to Horizon for something like that. Do you want to see him right now?
Kind of why we came.
Yeah.
All right.
It's that or try and fix that arcane battery thing, but seems like he'd be better at it anyways.
He just seems more efficient that way. So
All right. Well, please. He sort of starts to like push furniture around, and you see he's trying to make a big open space in his own office.
as he's doing that, can I be looking around, even if it's not full on conspiracy theory boarding, like just trying to snoop and look through the details and see if there's any information one can glean?
Sure. Go ahead and roll. I'm going to say investigation, because you already sort of know what the room looks like. You're just trying to draw a conclusion from it. Is anybody else sort of trying to do anything in this? There's like about 30 seconds of shuffling furniture. If there's anything else you would be doing.
Just kind of in the same vein. Like, I've seen other detectives and, military police kind of try and work through cases and stuff. So I'm just trying to see if I see any kind of like pattern of what he's doing with laying out all the paperwork and everything else. See if there's anything I see.
Sure. You can roll investigation as well.
Nope.
Because notgreatrolls.com.
Make it up for last session.
Shiny looking lying around?
Any what?
I was gonna say, is there anything shiny looking lying around?
Not at a glance. Like, there's lots of drawers. You think shiny things might be in drawers. Right now it's just paper town. But Drada, as you sort of look around, it's the semblance of I say with an 11, you see a lot of unpaid bills. You see dispatches that presumably various other professors, based on the way he's been talking, may have been sent to other regions, but you don't really have a whole lot of time to pick up the details on that. Not just other regions of Flamebridge, though. You kind of get as in other regions of the country. And of the unpaid bills, there's sort of like, dues to the city, dues to the staff. There's all sorts of things that have administratively gone wrong. But as the sort of furniture is pushed aside, he says, all right, gather around. Is anybody first time teleporting?
Yeah.
Yep.
When's the last time you ate?
We
I
should
think
eat
it's
some.
been a minute.
Probably
Alright.
breakfast.
All right, you'll probably be fine. Never teleport on a full stomach. That's all I'm saying. And he sort of begins an incantation where you see he starts to trace a sort of symbol in his hands that he then sort of pushes onto the floor. You would know that this is a full teleportation spell, not a sort of like teleportation circle that he is using. As you guys find yourselves pulled from this place and your body starts to go kind of cold and starts to move faster than you could imagine. You feel no sorts of pain or anything, but there's sort of like a feeling of falling upwards as you find your consciousness sort of shoot into the ceiling in a way. Your vision goes completely black and you all appear in a different room entirely, one that itself feels a little bit irregular. I will share that this is a top-down map and not a like one of those like scenic vista scenes, not because you're going to fight here, but just because this was something I made that I felt like sharing. You find yourself in this sort of like strangely circular room, appearing here at this sort of like northern portion of it, where there's this big stone tablet that you are sort of shoot out of. as you appear into this space. The entire room is glowing a variety of sort of rainbow colors, and each of these tablets on the wall is different, not just in sort of the ground that you stand on, but the symbols that are connected to the ground are different than the symbols that are painted on the tablets in front of them. By the way, Millie, is it dragging your screen when I ping now? It's not? Okay.
No. And the problem was that it zoomed all the way in, so I could only see like 2 squares of the map. This
Okay.
is great. Thank you.
I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad I could fix that. As you are in this space, there's something strange about it. You feel as if the ground you're walking on is itself magic. It is not solid ground, but it's like an energy ground of sorts. And the walls are also, it is more of a spherical room where you are sort of inside of like an energy bubble of sorts, as opposed to being in a cylinder tower of sorts. You appear in this space, and the room is cold, but not uncomfortably, but just certainly not the same temperature you were used to 3 seconds ago in Flamebridge. In this room, you see the familiar form of Arcana sort of standing and on a central pedestal in this room, his eyes staring up at the ceiling. And as soon as you enter, he chimes in and says, "I'll be with you in 1 moment." And then he just sort of continues to stare at the ceiling. Azurvale pipes up and says, "Just 1 moment, then."
Azurvale, where are we?
He's never quite shared it. Let's roll an Arcana check. My best estimation is we are somewhere between planes.
Can I, if I touch my foot off of this path we're on, does it, go down, or is this whole thing one solid, floor?
You move around, and you feel like a little bit of, low gravity, sort of, but whenever you step on a platform, it sort of, it's not that anything goes down or moves, but it glows. When you step on it, there's sort of like a pulse of energy that comes off of it.
Okay, but it's not like we're at risk of falling off if we...
No.
Go right or left.
In these sort of blacker areas, you get the sense that there is no floor, and that it's just sort of like a void of sorts.
Okay, so we could fall.
You imagine falling off.
Fair.
After sort of standing there for a few seconds, Arcana sort of shifts his attention toward you and sort of says, "Left Stars, I'm glad you came. Apologies for having you come all this way. My abilities to reach out have been taxed recently." He sort of briefly looks at Azurvale and says, "All will be well with the school. Please do your best." And Azurvale sort of has like we could really use your support and assistance in this. And Arcana says, "Please get to work," and sort of raises his hand, and Azurvale disappears.
Well, he's doing great, by the way. You should give him a raise or something. What has you so distracted from the school?
He kind of looks past you and looks towards Mouse and says, "Stars are disappearing at a faster rate than before. And I'm doing my best to contain the threat, but I'm stretched quite thin.
Was that why you've been at Sparrowden?
I sought the guidance of your mentor, who did lend some assistance and information with regards to the stars. The consequence of my trip there is what caused the incursion at the Savannah Island.
Elaborate.
For me to spend even a couple hours away from this place, I have found that more and more storms are opening, and if I cannot be ever present in containing them, then the situation simply gets worse day by day. One moment, he sort of looks at you. You see him stare at the ceiling again as he sort of turns placid, his attention shifting elsewhere.
I kind of lean over to Mouse. I don't want to interrupt him, but I'm getting the impression he's saying he's really powerful. Like, I knew he's powerful, but are we talking like he's controlling elementals? Like across the world?
I am not sure what he's doing, but I'm pretty confident he's very powerful in ways that I'm not sure we even really understand.
I think we've heard people talk about him as almost like the god of magic. Like, not exactly, but like, I think that's how people think about him in a way. Like,
Yeah, also, Mouse, like, does that rings true with like your understanding of things? Like the stars, there's some shit happening, right? Like this corroborates.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Do I,
Apologies. Oh, go ahead.
does Mouse, who is harboring a fair bit of distrust for Arcana, get the sense that he's trying to help fix things, and this isn't a self-serving endeavor?
I'm going to let you roll that check later. I don't think you've talked to him enough to really roll that yet.
That's fair.
He sort of like, as you guys are in asking Mouse for her thoughts, he sort of looks back towards you and says, "Another storm opened momentarily, but I was able to stop it."
What does that mean? Like, do you just send magic there? Like, what does stopping it mean? How I'm, as someone who's until moments ago was literally on the outside of all this, just fascinated.
He sort of points to these sort of contraptions in the room that sort of Flint takes a quick look at, and seems to be the other end of the arcane battery coming in at multiple angles towards him. And he sort of, I think at this point, your detect magic did wear off, sort of like as you were navigating the tower after the battle. But even without a detect magic, you kind of just get, you understand that magic is being channeled to him right now, and as he sort of answers Drada, you just get the impression that he's sort of drawing from that energy to do various things. But he sort of looks at Drada and says, my attention to what is happening throughout Ventus has me in multiple places at once. And when I detect an anomaly of some kind, I am able to borrow the magic that is stored here to shutter these storms before they are fully formed. But I can only do it if I am responsive within an hour of it forming. To have traveled to Sparrowden and spoken with Olive was enough to create the storm and have it be too difficult for me to close without more opening.
So what's causing it?
That is what I would like to know. And
All right, let me
turning my attention towards discovery would broach more threats.
So let me reword this because you're going to understand way more than I will. What do you think right now on a hunch would be causing?
The disappearance of stars correlates with these storms being opened. My hunch would be that someone or something is using them as a form of energy to summon the storms. But beyond that, I don't have the capacity to locate the source of this.
Take that much energy, though, to take stars or generate storms.
They are based on the events of Sparrowden, which I did observe you and your party's engagement with. It seems that these storms are gateways to an area on the astral plane where aberrations live and are pouring out of. So the creation of these portals, aka the storms, is seeming to be what that energy is spent on. I've called you here because my hope is for us to be able to discover more than that. But as I said, I cannot leave this place.
What do you have in mind?
Sort of looks at you all and says, when you're ready, if you're ready, I could send you to the astral plane. And you could scout it out. Doing so itself may be just enough of a distraction that another storm could open. But it may be the only way to discover what's happening.
Sorry for interrupting. Define ready. You said when/if. Multiple questions.
It is more a matter of will. If you have other things to take care of, if you wish to rest, I could send you right now. But as I said, with the potential of another storm opening, it may be also worthwhile to take the night to warn people.
Is there any pattern between when you close a storm and the next one begins?
He sort of thinks about it for a moment and says, it's the disappearance of stars happens multiple times per day. The size of the storm varies. So it's unpredictable, but it is at least several times a day.
What's the closest together you've had any two storms?
Approximately 3 hours.
Okay.
Having not studied the astral plane, would my magic work the same there that it does here?
I think it may even be enhanced.
Good to know.
I mean, we had like a couple of small things to do here in town, but like we could probably be ready to go in a day or two, I think. I don't think any of it was like
One moment.
that
He
important.
disappears again.
Like, we should probably rest before we go. And I mean, we could potentially try and talk to some other people, but it doesn't seem like any of that is as critical as trying to figure out what is disappearing the stars and causing storms.
Aesop chimes in and says, well, if a new storm might open, one of us should probably get word to my mom to warn the squad. They might not understand how we know how to predict these things, but if they can at least be on watch.
Yeah.
I think regardless, you and I are probably doing some sending this evening before we go to bed.
Yeah. I am so excited to be faster than all of you.
He turns his attention back towards you and says, take all the time you need. Although Azure Veil may find the next few months stressful as he seeks to keep the battery functional, I do not currently find myself unable to handle the threat.
Oh yeah, is there anything that like we or someone could do to help Azure Veil with the battery if you know a lot about the battery?
I encourage nobody to touch the battery, and I encourage Azure Veil to use his specialty to protect it at all costs.
What is his specialty?
He is the Archmage of Abjuration. The other Archmages of the Source Institute have been dispatched to other locations in an effort to try to discover more.
So what makes us so special to send us to the astral plane?
We're flattered, but like we'd love to know.
Sort of looks towards Mouse again and says, the connection to stars is something that I am unfamiliar with, and the expertise of somebody who may have a sense for things that I would not is what I am relying on.
And just reach over and just pat Mouse on the shoulder.
Is there anything we should like prepare for this astral sea? Do we need a boat or anything?
I think he sort of like his face and posture has been pretty like plain and placid this whole time, but you see him sort of frown for just a moment, and he sort of says, I'm afraid I don't quite know. The nature of the astral sea is something that has evaded me for some time. I've never made the trip, we'll say.
What?
Sorry, what?
Oh, I just asked why. Sorry, Flint.
Oh.
I was just making dumb jokes.
You ask why, and he says, it is a threat to me. The nature of my existence in this form is incorporeal, immaterial, and in the astral sea, I would be vulnerable. He sort of Flint, give me an Arcana check, just because. And Mouse, if you want to give me that insight check from before about just sort of like sizing up his demeanor. I'd say Flint with the Arcana, just something the way he's talking right now, you get the sense that you're talking to an illusion. This is not actually him. You don't really know more than that, but that's just what I'll share for now. Mouse, so you feel free to restate the question. I think I understood it from before, but now that you have more context.
Yeah, I think coming into this conversation, Mouse was very distrustful of Arcana, having seen him on her island and just anyone interfering in things on Spiridon. But after talking with him, do I get the sense that he's well-intentioned? He's not causing damage or doing this somehow spitefully?
Definitely not spitefully. I'd say it's well-intentioned, but not incorruptible. And I think with a 24, there's an obvious, like he's oozing curiosity throughout all this. It's like he is doing his best to keep the threats of the world at bay, but he really wants to know what's going on. And it's sort of like to that end, he's demonstrated that his intentions are to kind of keep the world safe. But for somebody who's this quote unquote king of magic to be reaching for information about magics unknown to him, I think your fear would be, what does it mean for somebody to have this much power and to be asking for more? And it's not that he is giving you that vibe that he is trying to look for power, but that it is something in his nature is that he's always looking for power. But you don't necessarily get an evil vibe. It's just that it's his nature. Magic is.
Very Mr. Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean, sort of themed off of it a little bit.
Fair.
And so he looks towards you all and says, I understand that the task I set before you is vague, and I understand that traveling through planes is something perhaps unfamiliar to you. I share this vulnerability truthfully, which is that I cannot hold this off forever. The stores of the arcane battery will sustain me for some time. But inevitably, whether it is months or years, depending on the rate of the issues of storms coming, inevitably I will fail. And the world should be prepared to be on the defensive, which is what I've sent the other professors to do. In addition to trying to seek information, they are seeking allies. There's a lot of, as I understand, squabbling among nobles and selfish interests that occupy a great many of leaders in various cities. And although although I would hope that we can solve the problem of where these storms and aberrations are coming from, the reality is we may need to prepare for them to break through, and we may need the world to unite in doing so.
So in other words, I think Puddles is out.
Have you already sent someone to alert the recovery squad?
I've sent word to Consonance, but not the recovery squad specifically.
If we do this, if we go to the Astral Sea and help and discover how this is happening and who's doing it, do we have your word that you won't, like, later on use this newfound knowledge of how to absorb stars, like, for your own gain or something?
He sort of looks at you, and not dismissively, but just sort of says, I can't predict what the world will require of me.
Guy's really hard to like.
I mean, I get what he's saying. It makes me nervous.
He looks at Mouse. Roll me a. I'm going to ask you to roll a saving throw, but it's not. You're not being attacked. Can you roll me a Wisdom saving throw? Okay. He sort of looks at you, Mouse, and says, "She volunteered her powers to me, so that I may understand just a bit more." I took as little as I could.
Yeah.
I think we should go try and wrap up anything else we got in town, rest for the night, and then I kind of feel like we should pursue this pretty quick.
I mean, where I come from, when people ask for help, you help them. And unfortunately, this feels like a pretty short-term, highly pressing problem. I know we have other people to see in Flamebridge, but I don't think we should put this off longer than we have to.
Otto's just looking at Klax as this conversation unfolds.
I mean, what I'm hearing out of this is we have a chance to save the world, or I, bust up some vapor dealing a-holes. So, as much as I want to.
It should just be a short trip, right? Like, we'll be back in no time, probably.
Yeah, and we said the same thing about the Savannah Island.
Thank you, Drata. You got my back.
I'm also just really, I want to say I'm really proud of you, Klax, for your restraint, both on saying a-hole instead of the full word, and on waiting to go beat people up. I'm just really proud.
Growth, right? Growth.
Arcana looks at Klax and says, as I said, there are selfish, destructive people in the world, and if they are a barrier to the world's defenses, it is not a wrong thought to try to settle matters. I don't know of who or what you speak, but rest assured that there's many people who are getting in the way of peace.
Oh, we could have such a long conversation about that.
I just look over and draw and give a smirk.
If we head to the Astral Sea to do some fact-finding for you, get back.
When you are at the Astral Sea, your bodies will be held in stasis here, and I will pull you back when necessary.
We can't just come back?
It doesn't work that way.
Got a little more unsettling, but
It'll be great. We're amazing. Nothing can stop us.
Normally I like that tone of voice because it means Flint's about to be chaotic, but when it's life and bodies on the line, and we like sign a magically, magic, you seem magic made, a contract of some way, shape, or form that says nothing will happen to our bodies in the meantime, because that'd be great.
He sort of looks at you, and I think like you have a air of joking, or at least like not expecting a contract, but just sort of hoping that he understands how serious things are. And he says, I promise that no harm will come to you on this plane.
do I believe him?
Roll insight.
One more kind of important thing. Oh, never mind. Totally.
I am still going to. Oh, I guess my timer ran out on the other one. Okay, that's fine.
With an 18, you get the impression that he cannot accomplish his mission if you die, and therefore
If our bodies die.
yes. So his intention is to protect you.
So just one more small problem. We also have this chimera egg that we probably shouldn't store with our bodies in case it hatches.
You and your belongings will be safe with me. The intention is not to keep you there for a tremendous amount of time. I will try to project you into an area that I could triangulate based on the disappearance of stars, and hopefully that will ensure that your trip remains short. And also the DM is trying to remember, I think the DM says that you can only be astrally projected for 1 hour. So according to the description of this spell. So Arcana says it will be a short trip.
All right. We'll go rest, wrap up a couple of loose ends, and be back tomorrow?
At your earliest convenience. If it's not tomorrow, I understand.
What's the best way to get back up here? Do we get Azure Veil, or is there some kind of secret knock on a door downstairs?
Contact me directly if you can't find Azure Veil.
I turn and look at Mouse.
Or out of character, or Aesop.
Ah, so yeah, I wasn't thinking about the magic thing. I was thinking about the star thing. Yeah,
Yeah, those only work.
magic's not my thing. Sorry, Mouse.
I understand this is a lot, and I encourage you to continue the conversation. Let me know if you have questions when we meet again. I will do my best to answer them. And he sort of makes eye contact with you all and then waves his hands, and you guys find yourself at the base of the Source Institute Tower once again. And let's take a 5-minute break.
More importantly, do I feel like I need to throw up? Because if not,
I think you're good.
I'm right.
But you've been warned, don't eat before teleporting. And probably the same for astral protection. Okay, let's take 5, because I need to feed the cats.
All right. You guys a couple minutes.
So you all arrive back, having teleported to the ground level of the Source Institute. Various students are traveling in and out of this space, and you have the freedom to do as you would wish. So what would you like to do? I will level set to say you guys arrived in Flamebridge reasonably early, and even in just the time that you've spent getting past the bridge and then getting to the Smelted Mug and then coming straight here, having short rested after fighting the tables, and then everything you've done so far, it is still before noon. It's like after 11. So you still have quite a bit of the day ahead of you.
I'm happy to go on a jaunt through the city, see the sights, try to find a certain alchemist shop. Even if we don't plan to move on it, just knowing where it is feels helpful.
I like your thinking.
Do we have anything else on our to-do list?
I have some messages to send, but I think that's about it.
Is there anything else you wanted to get done or touch base on or see while you're in town, Flint?
I mean, if we notice we're getting followed by the, Jade Mask people, I wouldn't mind trying to figure out why, but it seems less urgent. If that doesn't come up throughout the day, I'm not going to stress over it, I don't think.
And just a clarifying Jacob playing Grotto question, Flint has not talked about the Dawnbringer base here.
Has not pointed you in any particular direction, just said that there was a lead in Flamebridge.
I think I
Okay.
probably mentioned that the Dawnbringer base wasn't here.
Yes, it's in the mountains
Yeah.
somewhere. If you any other recs as to search for those answers, happy to hear but I can understand you also wanted to keep things private, so
I don't know that there's any good way to try. In hindsight, I question whether perhaps the Lord Pyre or maybe even the Jade Mask, that one I'm less certain about, have something to do with the Dawnbringers. I don't know. But yeah, the Lord Pyre guy is in charge here and has his own personal army. I'm not clear there's any good way for us to pursue that lead.
think on it, but okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So just going for a stroll then? Or any targeted thing any specific thing? Or...
Trying to track down Brinstriana? Is that her name?
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
got,
Yeah.
Yeah, you had sensed a general direction when you had asked around before. So I think I had suggested that you would get advantage on the next roll.
I believe that is true.
Okay. You're leaving the Source Institute. It sounds like you have the wherewithal to avoid any stray arcs of lightning on your way out, as you're sort of more aware of what has been going on here and how frequent the arcs are happening. You make a timely decision to sprint across a courtyard before another one might strike, and find yourselves back in the greater area of the city. So so you have, I mean, your agenda is pretty open. How long, I guess I would start. How long are you willing to dedicate towards this search for the day?
My brain goes to like until like dinner time. Like this is a nice afternoon activity, but like also want to give people time to send in the evening and like prepare for the next day.
Yeah. And I mean, it'll kind of give us, just roaming around the city, give us a chance to see if the Jade Mask try and follow us or show themselves again or something, or make contact. So yeah, I think that's like most of the day.
I would prepare to both guidance and use my last cosmic omen as we're looking for the shop.
Okay. Well, guidance like lasts a minute, and you're spending 4 hours on this. So,
Fair.
yeah. So it's I would say with the amount of time you have, I'm not sure you're going to need it. But what I'm going to say is let's assume that you guys have, you're sort of taking turns leading in this investigation throughout the city. And so we'll go ahead and just start with Drada, if you would like to sort of make the appropriate roll, probably investigation, unless you're sort of trying to go through a survival route, but just sort of let me know what you're trying to do and how you're doing it.
Yeah, it's either investigation or like maybe perception of just like head on a swivel looking. Like I don't think I'm going to be talking to a lot of people. I think it's much more like seeing if someone has like, oh, a small potion in hand or something that like could be from an alchemist shop, trying to trace the direction they're from. Just knowing that this could be a very powerful person and a very well connected person, trying to keep our presence as minimal as possible.
Okay.
If that feels perception-y, cool. Still happy to roll up investigation if that feels more investigation-y.
Sounds a little bit perception-y plus stealthy. I'm actually going to, before you roll perception, if you're trying to stay on the down low, I am going to ask for a stealth check.
Sure.
And this isn't necessarily like weaving through side streets. It's just sort of keeping a low profile.
I'm glad you went first, because I was just going to start asking people.
Oh, I rolled a stealth check in advance already.
Oh. We'll take the first one and just click this button and we'll not take it.
Cool. Unless it's... Yeah, cool.
All right, so it's the same thing, the exact same thing. Okay. I think Aesop is just digesting the events of the last hour and is following your guys' lead. But go ahead now, give me that that perception check for me.
Cool, and that is with advantage?
Yes, because you have a general direction. You just roll again.
Yes.
I forget if it's shift or control to.
I also forget, hence why. Yeah.
With a 22 perception, so I would say the skyscrapers of, and this takes about an hour, so I'm just moving the clock forward a bit. The skyscrapers and sort of machined iron sort of towers that litter the skyline of Flamebridge do sort of present almost a sea of metal as you're sort of looking through this entire block of town. You do see in sort of the distance, as you're sort of starting to walk in that direction that you were told, you do see in the distance where there are a few trees sticking out of a certain neighborhood. And I think that strikes you as an appropriate location for where an apothecary may be, where more natural materials may yield themselves or may avail themselves. You are closing in but sort of as you're walking on the ground, it seems like every other turn you take is obscuring your view of where you're going. So I would ask one more person to try to close the distance. And the final leg.
I can do it, but I'd recommend somebody else.
I was gonna say, I think I'm trying to decide if I think this is like investigation or history or what, but I think just trying to like look where Drada is trying to take us and just recalling the layout of the city from when, at least from when I used to be here, and suggesting routes to keep us on track. But
probably history.
History, okay. Less good at that.
And this would be advantage because of Drada's roll. Sorry.
All right. Just roll a second.
Okay. I mean, same roll. What I would say is, you do find the Gallinodal Apothecary, but you find it somewhere that you weren't quite expecting. You sort of stumble upon it and are at its front door. And it sort of is in that moment where you're like, oh, it's right here. And you realize you sort of like maybe are a little bit more out in the open than you planned to be, as you were hoping to sort of sneak up on this place. But you do stand in front of this sort of like reasonably small building that has like a sort of like door with like a single door with a window that has a number of potions in it. Let me actually just bring you over to this little thing. As you sort of look inside, there is sort of vines and trees growing from within, and a little bit of a garden on the exterior of the building as well. You look at on the door, and it does say, like, you guys are functionally standing in this window as you realize you found it. But you do look inside, and although the door sign says open, you don't see anybody inside at this moment. So you feel like you still have an element of stealth because you weren't immediately perceived.
Do we want to go inside, or do we just want to know where it is? What's our plan here?
Well, if somebody's going in, it probably shouldn't be me. I'm very obvious.
Well, and you might be the only one of us that, like, they might be on the lookout for. Like, Selny knows you.
Yep. So why don't I just keep walking? I'll meet up with you guys in a bit. And Clack's just going to keep walking past now, trying to be non-discreet, and going to try and get to a distance where he can kind of keep an eye, but really be out of the way. Probably not going to be as stealthy as he thinks, but...
Okay. Aesop's going to stay with you because Art isn't here.
Sounds good. Let's go, Aesop.
Aesop's more just keeping an eye outside.
Are we going in?
Sure. Chaos Party.
Let's go. I'll use my last first level spell slot to cast Disguise Self. To turn myself back into kind of the same vision of the, like, oh, it's a generic flame bridge sooty person who was crossing the bridge earlier that day.
Okay.
I don't think I have Disguise Self prepared.
Let me see. Does Aesop have any... Aesop does have Disguise Self, but does not have a way to put that on you.
It's fine.
Or you can be a mouse.
Right.
I thought Mouse didn't turn into a mouse.
I don't. That's correct. I can be a ferret.
Important correction.
I think I should do that, because I don't have a way to disguise myself otherwise. And I don't really want to talk, I just want to listen. And then I'm there in case of emergencies.
But, like, aren't you, like, our most, like, Well, I guess I know alchemy. But you know...
Well, I was just gonna walk in and be like, my back hurts, help me. But if you have a better solution, please. Please.
That sounds fine. You're a good, and you're a great liar. So like, it'll go
Yeah.
well.
It's gonna go so good.
Fair.
So Mouse turns into a ferret.
I'm gonna cast guidance before I do
Sure.
on Trada, and then I'm gonna wild shape into a ferret.
Okay. Wild shape is also automated, by the way, should you choose to do it. You all enter the apothecary and find yourselves looking in this like relatively spacious interior. As soon as you enter, a like ding-a-ling on the door rings as your presence is sort of announced. And what do you do not see her or anybody else here at the moment. What do you do? I guess go ahead and roll perception check just as you're getting a sense of the space.
Did I hit the right button? Yeah.
Truly, I just think I'm looking and snooping and trying to see, oh, do I see any suspicious looking flowers or anything of the sort, or anything that could have been derived from them? Crazy.
By the way, Mouse, that big wild shape window you saw, it's sorted by CR, so the stronger stuff is on top, if that wasn't obvious.
Yes, I did figure that out. It did ask me whether I wanted to merge or drop all of my equipment.
Yeah, that's just a wild shape thing. Is like you either keep it on your person or you can drop it optionally. But
okay, no, I want to keep everything on my person.
Generally speaking, I would just merge unless you have a very specific reason not to. Drada, you sort of, when you enter this space, you hear sort of behind one of the trees that is sort of by the door, you hear somebody who's sort of like clipping vines from a tree, like the sound of like heavy scissors as you enter this space. And Flint, you don't really, I think you noticed Drada look in that direction with a 14. After a few seconds, while you guys are just standing there, you hear from that direction a familiar voice of Bryn Striana just sort of say out loud, leave the money on the table. The prices are listed. Take what you need. Let me know if I can help you.
Thank you. And we'll truly just go to perusing the wares and seeing if anything looks suspicious, if there's a back room at any point that maybe backdoor happenings are happening in. Just scouting the place out.
I'm dropping a shop icon in the middle of this map. Just should you want to look at the things here. You sort of hear her say, please also be aware that I will know if you take anything without paying for it, but I would hope that you do not do that.
Appreciate the disclosure. Gonna go shopping. Real smooth.
So these are just generally the things you see when you're looking around, but go ahead and roll a like these are all the things that are listed that are very like clearly labeled and whatnot. But go ahead and roll me a perception or investigation if you're looking for something more than that. And Mouse, are you just in somebody's pocket or are you just like weaseling around?
I think when she says look to yourself, I will kind of nibble at Drada with the intention of being placed on the table so that I can also peruse using my keen sense of smell.
I absolutely lean forward as if to look at some vial closely and provide an easy opportunity for you to scamper around.
With a perception of 29, the nature of this space feels pretty regular, except there are sort of like these like fireflies that are sort of present on the map. You do sort of sense that they are a little unnatural. You don't see any flies, for example. They seem to be like little wisps in the air that do sort of give you pause because you're just not sure what is creating that effect. Otherwise, you do get a good look, like as you're just sort of looking around and sort of exploring the different corners of this place, you do get a good visual confirmation of Bryn Stirana's presence. She does seem genuinely at work on this tree, and sort of is, I would say, with a 29, she's not unaware of everything that you're doing. You seem like she's clocked you even though she's not looking at you directly. Smelling around, I would actually share that you do get a strange, almost like, I don't know that we've ever really talked about the definition of fae in this homebrew, but it's like you get the smell of something that's like a little bit alien coming out of some of these bushes, and it, like, not that it's unnatural, like that it's not nature. It is, but it seems like nature that you've never smelled before. She sort of, the silence in the room, she's just sort of peeks out and says, "Is there anything in particular you're looking for? It's a little bit messy in here."
Well, I just have a little bit of lower back pains. It was it's nothing too bad. I'm just looking around, just searching. But yeah.
Can you roll me deception, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wait, it's back there. Never mind.
Okay. I suppose I should probably roll for her rather than
No, 14 is just high enough.
Yeah. I forgot to pull up her sheet. Okay. Let's give us a little private roll. Do you guys get like a question mark dice? I kind of forget.
We did not appear to this time.
I didn't get anything.
We have before.
Normally.
Okay. Well, I know you guys always have the stream open, and it occurs to me that I made the stream a DM, so you guys could technically see what that roll is if you have it on.
Whoa!
But, she sort of, so don't cheat, but she sort of looks at you and says, "Right. So why are you really here?"
The back pain's really bad, and I don't have a ton of money to go to the doctor, so I was hoping I could find something here for cheap. I'm so sorry. The prices here, I'm sure you're marking your wares appropriately. I don't know if I can... It's my own financial situation. I'm so sorry.
She kind of gives you like the squinty eyes, and says, "Well, we have... If you would like to purchase a potion," she shows you the section that has potions of healing.
Is the space here or what we like came by outside in such a way that like we could see that she has like a big garden space or something? Like or
a lot of her space seems to be inside. There is like I would say like down the block there's like a garden across the street that also has a lot of green, but not attached to the building.
I have purchased things from the shop and then remembered I'm a weasel. So at some point, Mouse would have circled up a bunch of the root that she wants and squeaked at it until one of you put money on the table. Thanks.
sure. What do you want?
I already bought them.
Oh,
Yeah, you're spending her gold for her.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just forgot that I was a weasel.
I will put some gold on the table and scoop up whatever this root is. I might ask, do you grow your own herbs or do you like import them from somewhere? I haven't seen this much green in Flamebridge in a very long time.
I source things from a variety of places. Myself, usually.
That
But
is-
you, sort of looking back at Drada's disguise, and says, "This will do the trick," and sort of tries to sell you a potion of healing.
Truthfully, yeah, Drada has very little money on them right now. They just blew a lot of money. And it's just like, I really appreciate the offer. I think I'll
Perhaps-
probably be back soon.
Perhaps some stretches.
That may also be in order. Yeah, curious though also, if you don't mind my asking, just the story's beautiful. How did you get into your craft? I don't see a ton of alchemists in the city.
Flint, can you roll me a deception as well?
Well, I'm rolling a deception as well now.
That was a genuine question.
No, I know, but there's the business of her being interrogated.
Well, I'm even worse at this than Drada, apparently.
Somehow you rolled lower than she did.
How is that possible?
She says, "If you will excuse me, I have work to do."
So sorry, don't want to take up too much of your time.
And your name was, and sort of like looks at Flint, who's buying this stuff.
Carl?
Right. Well,
Thanks
you,
for-
Carl.
Thank you so much. It was a delight looking around, and yeah, hope to be back soon at your lovely establishment. We're gonna leave now. Goodbye. And Drada makes a hasty retreat.
I
All
was
right.
getting good at lying. I would go back and try and smooth that over, but there's no way it goes any better, so...
You just DM note. I don't know that you had a game plan. Let's go in and talk to her about her career.
Yeah, I was truly going in just to be like, I want to find it, and then we found it. We accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
Well, explain that to Clax, who you now rendezvous with. And Aesop just says, "How did it go?"
It's an alchemist shop, or herb shop. We bought some roots.
There didn't seem to be any obvious, like, oh, there's a secret room where dealings are happening. There's some magical stuff going on in the air, but, like, I gave a decent look through and didn't see anything that was too suspicious aside from some magical firefly things.
Okay. You didn't arouse any suspicion, though, right?
No, Flynn
You know
gave
what?
a very compelling performance.
Mouse is a weasel standing on Drada's shoulder.
Well, at least I know Mouse didn't get into any trouble. All right. So no back doors we can sneak into. No compromised areas. No low visibility points we could enter in.
There's like some extra garden space down the street that might also be hers, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. We'll keep that in mind.
Aesop pops in and says, so we're not going to have a more forthright conversation with her like we did Master Crex and...
I think that's a, maybe after a lovely bit of rest, where we feel more prepared to enter a forthright conversation if we so choose.
I don't remember. Prisciana did seem less interested in the whole like vapor and even the financial whatever side of it, and more interested in just doing research, if I remember right. So there's a chance that she is more willing to talk than some of the others, but maybe that's a future conversation after, we've had some rest and whatnot.
I'm just happy we found the place. That's that mission, part 1 of mission accomplished.
Maybe we walk down the street and past that other garden space and see if it seems like it also belongs to her. Like if it has the same sort of weird fireflies floating around or something. And just see what we can see in passing.
That works for me.
Right.
You guys walk. It's sort of is like a small, like 10-foot wide street, and it sort of is her apothecary shop with a garden across the street that sort of has her, sign advertising it. It seems to be a sort of, just looking at it plainly, you haven't really, you'd have to like dig into it if you really wanted to dig, but it seems to be on the up and up from, at a glance. It just seems to be a supporting garden. You'd have to spend some time here to really try to dig into it more than that. But being as that you're so close to the building again, you do look, and the sign has been flipped to closed. Roll me a perception check as well. All of you, I suppose. Don't roll it by yourself because I want to use this thing.
Okay.
Nope, wrong thing.
Somebody.
People are.
Yeah, did it show up?
Okay, I'm gonna.
I clicked out of it.
It's all good. We're going to.
That's not right, because I should have advantage.
Okay, then I'll still let you roll. Just don't roll with this one with advantage. It's a little weasel.
That's about. Let me move my thing so I can see.
What is a weasel?
Oh shit!
Failure.
Damn.
Well, Flint was successful. It was, I think, maybe it was calculating the average. I'm not sure. Flint, you do sort of not, in addition to seeing the door locked, in addition to seeing the sign closed, when you infer that the door is locked, I would say, you also see sort of like on the corner of one of the sort of building supports of the structure that there is this sort of like red and white robin that is sort of staring at you.
Right. I think there's a robin in our last campaign.
That's unrelated. There was a robin in your druid's backstory.
Yeah.
Yes.
A red and white robin just staring at us. I will try not to pay too much like attention to it, not try to like make it blatantly obvious that I have noticed it, and just sort of carry on and keep walking down the street, I guess.
All right. You guys do know where it is now. So you have that going for you, at least.
Guys, I don't think we did very well at that.
What do you mean?
I think that went great.
So I'm getting mixed stories here, guys. So what happened?
My performance, I've never acted better.
I just don't
Okay.
think we knew what we were trying to accomplish while we were in there, and so it came off a little awkward. And maybe she picked up on that.
Maybe she picked up on it? What do you mean?
Well, she closed the store right after. That seems a little weird. Also, she was, well, I don't know if she was or something. There was a robin that looked a little unnatural and was really checking us out when we walked by.
Flint points up and the robin's still there.
Sorry, I assumed we were a little further away,
No,
but
it's followed you.
Oh, it's followed me. Oh.
So of course, as soon as he
It
points,
flies away.
I just turn to look at it, right?
Yeah, you turn to look at it and it flies away.
Can I shoot it out of the sky?
If you really want to, that's your call.
I usually don't
you?
encourage
You
it.
have not that long before it's far
That's
away.
such a great question, and I think the answer. I think Drada honestly. I think Drada would.
Just shoot it.
If something, yeah, if
Unless
something
somebody
was.
stops you.
Yeah, if something was trying to spy on us, and I also was not doing. I thought we were still there, and if it has followed us, then yeah, I do not want it following us anymore.
Does anybody stop Drana?
Mm, no.
I
don't even know if I'd be fast enough to stop Drada, to be honest.
I mean, I'm on Drada's shoulder, but I'm not sure I do anything about it.
Roll me a d20
Yeah.
because I don't want you to have to target anything that there's nothing worth targeting.
this seems like
Which is, and you have plus
a million.
plenty, I'm sure. It's a bird that must have like 10 AC. You didn't roll a natural 1. I'm pretty confident you can hit it.
Well,
As your arrow soars into the sky, it sort of dissipates into a puff of smoke.
that confirms something.
I think those are with arcane training in the group would recognize that as like a familiar.
Great. Well, do we go bust in the door now?
I mean, she's certainly going to think something weird's going on. Maybe not the best first impression. We could go back and talk with her and try to convince her that we're good and on her side and just things, but that's going to be an uphill battle, I imagine.
Yeah, that seems like something that should be done once a little space from what just happened. I don't think going right now is smart. I feel like we will that any kind of trying to persuade will go poorly.
All right. So here's my ask. So we know we have magical birds following us, and we already know that, like, words. Let's keep an eye out to make sure that our bodies that are going to be staying here are not going to be messed with by other parties. It's bad enough that I don't really trust Arcana, that now somebody is onto us who, if they put 2 and 2 together, really does not like us. Well, really does not like me. I'll be clear, right? Really does not like me.
I think her boss doesn't like you.
And I don't like her.
That Prince Triana has a horse of the race, really, or whatever, we could. I think of the remaining ones, she is one of the ones that is more likely for us to be able to talk to. But
We set that up very well. All right.
I'm wondering if it is better for us to go try and talk to her now before she tries to like report back to Selny. Because unfortunately at this point that bird probably saw you with us. And so she might mention a gold dragonborn, which will set off alarm bells.
Mouse jumps on the shoulder and reverts. Where are we? Are we just walking?
Yeah.
I think you probably stopped, but you're still probably like, I'd say you're probably like 3 or 4 blocks away at this point.
Well, if we duck in somewhere, I could scry on her.
Do it. Let's go.
I mean,
All right, looking for a spot.
sure. See if we can find a alley or a.
Yeah, I think you're reasonably confident that with the familiar down that you have at least a little bit of breathing room to cast a few spells before she could find you if she was even pursuing you.
I'm not sure why it is prepared, but scrying does not show up on my bar.
I think it may be that like anything. I think it's anything that takes more than one action to cast doesn't show up on the bar, which I noticed with the Gift of Alacrity as well. So you just have to go to your character sheet.
That makes sense. I'll scry on.
Alrighty.
Ooh.
You have met the target, which is a... Oh, no, you don't roll for scry. They roll for scry. I don't know why it made you roll. Oh, because you targeted yourself. So I'm not taking your nat 20, unfortunately.
Thank you.
But she will roll a wisdom saving throw.
And fail miserably.
Yeah.
She did fail miserably.
From a 20 to a 2.
Mouse, describe scrying for us.
So, I pull out my fancy new scry scope. And I for a moment kind of frown that I'm using it during the day for the first time, but I kind of like fiddle with it a little bit and get a good look at something that's not the sun up in the sky and focus the dials until suddenly they focus in on her.
Alrighty. As your vision sort of starts to enter this area, you trying to figure out what languages you speak. You speak Druidic, Common, and Halfling. You do hear sort of a mixture of languages as she seems to be walking like with purpose throughout the apothecary shop, but not frantically, but with purpose. And she sort of, in speaking what seems to be to herself at first, she says, all right, let's see. And she's just sort of like going through sort of some of the things on her wall. She's pulling out a few things. You see she pulls out a scroll. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Relies on sight?
Sure. No, because you're not seeing this through the glasses. You're seeing it through the... No, I guess you could use the glasses through the spyglass. Why
Like,
not?
I'm not...
All right,
Perfect.
fine. Those glasses are so good. All right. Well, so it is an arcane scroll, but I think you recognize it because it's a spell you know. She has sort of pulled, like it's you don't necessarily read things in the like language of arcane glyphs, but you see like almost a druidic scroll of sorts. That it's sort of just speaking a similar language in that way, and it seems to be a scroll of spike growth, which she is sort of looking towards the door as if to prepare. You're able to sort of gather she's like creating defenses right now. As she sort of gathers the scroll, she also goes to speak to several of the trees that have the fireflies, and she starts to speak in Sylvan to them. It seems like she makes the rounds to several different trees with a sort of posturing where she like puts her hand to her heart and bows her head a little bit. But as your scrying ends, you see that the spike growth is cast upon the floor of her own apothecary.
You're muted.
Millie, we can't hear you.
You're
So I didn't hear or see her like sending any messages, but she might have done that before. But she was laying some traps. Spike growth is on the floor of the apothecary shop, and it seems like she was talking to those fireflies, so I'm not sure that they would be as friendly if we found ourselves back in the apothecary again.
Just to clarify regarding the spike growth, it looked like she was preparing to cast it. You would know that it has like a 10-minute length, but it's sort of like she's not going to cast it and then let it disappear in 10 minutes. Like she's sort of waiting for something to trigger her to cast it.
So I think if we're gonna go see her, we should maybe try and like message her ahead of time and somehow reassure her that we come in peace. But I'm not sure she would believe us. Given that we just killed her familiar.
I'm sorry? Question mark?
I mean, it's fine. I was wondering if she was a druid and you were gonna knock her out of her flight form. That answers that, though. Should we... Do we think we should go back and try and talk to her? Smooth things over?
So here's the thing, if we try to talk to her, we're not going in her place. We'd have to wait for her, and that looks really suspicious if you have a bunch of people waiting for you when you come out of your shop.
Well, Abraham could send her a message and say, hey, sorry about the miscommunication. We just want to talk. Like, how do we do that? Or, I don't know if it's dark yet. Mouse could do it, and Mouse isn't threatening.
It is certainly not dark.
What, 1 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
So here's the problem, right? If we don't do anything, there's a chance she runs. Period. And then this lead has gone cold. I don't want to give up that opportunity, but like, as much as I want to crush this so bad, I also recognize that I am only one piece in this big thing that's going on. I don't want to screw up our chance to help out Arcana with what's going on.
I mean, I think worst case scenario, we end up in a fight with her, which granted isn't ideal. I don't think we want to end up trying to cover our tracks for murder, but I don't think it necessarily jeopardizes our chances. Also, Selny and Brinciano, whatever, might be powerful, but if they want to come try and mess with us while we're being guarded by Arcana, good luck. Like, that's... I'm not sure there's many places where we are safer than our bodies being guarded by Arcana.
I mean, that's fair. Also, just what a weird thought. I mean, I think the question that... I don't see as much urgency in this as I think other people here are seeing, and maybe that's just me. I know if I just had a sketchy interaction and readied my defenses, having someone go, "Hey, JK, we should talk it out," not gonna be super receptive to it. I would rather cool down and simmer down, and then get a missive saying, "I'm so sorry for earlier, we'd love to chat," like a day or two later. That feels more reasonable to me, but I also understand that introduces, like, oh, she could message tell me, etc., etc. So, like...
That's fair. Should we write her a letter? And explain the difference and that we would love to stop by in a few days? If...
Aesop chimes in and says, I could just message her right now. She didn't meet me.
Well, her familiar might have seen you, though.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think a message is necessarily a terrible idea.
All right, so if we got what? How many words do we have in a message?
25.
Okay. How do we convey that we're not out to hurt her, that we're not creepers, and we're not going to do any harm to her in 25 words?
At least 5 so's before the word sorry.
Aesop chimes in and says, I think, maybe the straightforward approach of we just want to talk.
All right. We want to talk. You name the time and place so that you can feel secure. We don't want any trouble, but we do have some serious things to discuss.
Just not tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Mouse?
Just not tomorrow. We have plans.
Yeah. Very
Aesop
true.
says, like, right, how about, I have a way with words. How about I try to smooth it over for us to meet right now?
Sure. If you think you
Okay.
can do that.
What else do we have to lose?
Our lives, but that's not much, so...
Aesop's got a way with words.
He does.
That silver tongue.
All right. Aesop's going to go ahead and cast Yield Descending. And I'm going to roll a persuasion check, and then based on the roll, we'll give it flavor. Okay. I mean, of course, Aesop rolls high in persuasion. You sort of hear as Aesop channels the spell, the message comes out pretty similar to the way that Klax had phrased it, but just with, I think, the sort of like cool, persuasive, passive, kind voice of Aesop that says, "Hi, my friends and I just want to talk. Apologies for the confusion. We're on our way to you, if that's okay." And then you just sort of see Aesop moving his head to receive the message and says, he sort of relates to you all and says, her guard is still up, but she's willing to talk.
All right. So here's the question. I say Mouse or Aesop kind of does talking. I tend not to handle myself well in these kind of conversations.
Well,
So essentially, let's get a plan before we go talk to her.
How much are we?
Wait.
Are we like spilling the whole beans? Are we like? What's
To
our
me-
plan going in?
To me, the plan going in is we know who you're working with. We don't think you like working with them. We think you're a good person. How do we stop what this is doing without implicating you in the problem? Thoughts?
Yeah, Aesop chimes in and says, sorry, I forgot to relay. She's expecting us in the next 2 minutes. So if that's the plan, I recommend you lead with that.
All right,
Great.
let's
Like,
walk.
I'm more than happy to, if you start going off the rails, I will happily make it known with a sharp elbow to your ribs or a foot on your foot.
Compared to a bolt in my back, I will take those all day long.
Gentle as I can be.
Start
Guidance?
opening. Oh, I'm gonna need it.
All right, I want to give you guys a sense of this space a little bit more. Now, I will say, so go ahead and cast guidance, do what you need to do. As you enter, she waits for you to stand still and then still casts spike growth. So you get, and it sort of is like, she's doing it in a calm-ish way. The implication is don't move and you won't get hurt.
Nope. Hands
This
up.
is- but it is being pre-cast on this space.
I'm just gonna stand there with my hands up until she gives me the okay to speak.
And who am I talking to?
Clax.
And companions. What I should be more specific. Why am I talking to Clax and companions?
We know you work for someone who is not the greatest person in the world. We don't think you enjoy necessarily what's going on.
I work for myself.
You work for yourself here.
I have clients. Are you here to discuss one of my clients?
Okay, you're gonna make me say it out loud. Selny Bond.
What about her?
I don't think you enjoy working for her or with her.
She gives me what I need sometimes.
But would you be better off working with a better client, as the term you're using, and not have the fear of repercussions hanging over your head of being related to Selny Bond?
I really don't think about Selnivan that much at all. Nor do I fear her. You can put your hands down. Just don't move.
Not moving.
Are you aware of the way she is profiting on the, selling of drugs to people and kind of ruining, a large number of people's lives over it?
Yes.
Follow-on question then. Are you okay with that?
If it wasn't her, it would be somebody else.
Well, I feel this conversation might not go where I was hoping it would go.
The question is, why are you coming to me to talk about her? Clearly you know quite a bit about her. Clearly you have a distaste for her. Are you seeking information? I haven't been in contact with her for, say, a couple weeks now.
I essentially want to end this entire enterprise and or drug ring. And I'm going to take down whoever is in my way to do it. So I've decided those people who I think have a chance at redemption can either help me bring it down, or they're going to be a casualty along the way. And judging from your action, you don't fear her, you don't care about her. So then it's just crossing a client off your list. That's probably the way to go.
It's really what I would say. It's no business of mine what happens to her at this point. She hasn't really held up her end of the bargain recently. And so I've been looking into other methods to get what I need.
Okay.
If you should wish to disrupt her operation, I suppose I would ask what disruption means. Obviously, I'm trying to figure out if it is a personal vendetta or if you are trying to take over.
No. In case you haven't realized from my execution on this, not the brightest guy in the world. I am not taking over anything. I am just destroying this ring. All it's doing is hurting the people. It's not doing anything more. And also, I can't stand the bitch.
Roll persuasion. Clack specifically.
You have guidance.
I do. I'm going to need it. Ooh, 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 ooh. Do I burn them both? Well, let's start with the guidance. Do I? You know what? Hell with it. We're going all in. We're going it. Fucking 3, but 25.
What was that second one?
Commanding presence.
That's right. 25 is quite high. She says, well, I suppose I have a vested interest in what your destruction of her operation looks like. I do have some apothecary reagents that she used to help me harvest that one of her associates has sort of barred me from accessing recently.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I could be interested in a partnership if you were able to help me secure the reagents I require.
Let me ask you this. Are these apothecary reagents for the betterment or good of people, or are they for the harm of people?
Most things can be used inappropriately, but I would say that I'm using them as a form of research and culture.
I think then we can probably find a way to do our best to accommodate getting you said reagents, especially if these reagents happen to be of the flower variety.
You're
Sorry.
Well researched if you know about this.
Forgive me, above board. Brinchiana, she was elven or half elf? She was elven.
She's elven, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
She says if you're familiar with her operation to this degree, and if you come seeking me out, I suppose you know more than she probably would want you to know. I don't know what it is that you do know, but let's say this. I can escort you to where her second in command would normally engage with operatives to harvest the materials, and you can do with that person and place what you wish. But I do require you to escort me into the caves where I may be able to acquire some of the flowers that you speak of for my own purposes.
I'm going to turn to the rest of the team and just give a real quick look to make sure no one has any glaring concern, because I feel this is a too good to be true, so cautious, but I feel this is a good win. I just want to make sure the team's on it.
Do you think her research is something your other friend would be, like, actually interested in?
If potentially.
Yeah, I mean, this seems reasonable. We can't do it today or tomorrow, but
soon. I'd love to also just to insight check her just to make sure that this is all above board. She's not saying any of this with malicious intent or intent of immediate backstabbery.
Insight check.
Could I jump on that as well?
Sure.
I'm too engrossed in communicating. I am not paying attention. I don't think there's any need.
Drada, the vibe you get with the 22 is she is truthful in having a vested interest and is truthful in the sense that she doesn't owe any allegiances to Selnivan. Mouse, the icing on the cake that I would add with a nat 20 is that she still doesn't know who you are and has no reason to trust that you won't put a knife in her back as well. and I think you get the impression that this is a business transaction for her, but that you still will have to keep an eye on her or not threaten her or do anything that might intimidate her in order to turn that. I would also say with a natural 20, when she answered the question earlier about how this is an entirely, positive cultural point of research, I think you sort of don't connect that to Alua's dream mist, the sort of vision elixir that Alua had created. You get the impression that there's something else that interests her. And it's not that it sort of is more of an insight of this facility than it is an insight of her. It's like there's none of the materials that Alua used to craft that dream mist is present here. Whatever her interests are cannot be replicated in this apothecary shop.
So,
I think in the pause, I would just kind of duck around Clax and just say, I know the circumstances make us look a little suspicious, but I do promise that we're a trustworthy group.
I think the important thing is that we can make arrangements that are beneficial to both parties. If you can do what I require, then I can help you with what you require, and then we will all be satisfied.
all right.
What do you know? And I ask just so that I may prepare you to the fullest. And at this point, you also... Oh, she's going to... Is anybody hiding any resentment towards her? I'm asking as a DM.
As a DM, no. Clax is genuinely... She has shown willingness to come to... Even if it's purely a business deal, she's shown willingness to help, in his mind, hit the cause. Now, if she would have been hesitant or whatever, yes, but I think he's on board.
I think Flint thinks she's cold. Like, she's, like... The vibe I get here is just, like, she didn't seem to care one way or the other about whether what Selny was doing was hurting people. Like, this is just a means to an end for her, which I don't think, like... Flint likes, but he's not, like, he doesn't see that as a reason to, like, harm her or something. Like, we can use her, but, like, he doesn't see her as, like, some sort of long-term ally or anything necessarily.
I think Drada is seeing similarly, but kind of from the opposite perspective of just like, oh no, this is a business deal. Like, you are being very transparent about the levers we need to pull. Like, this is efficient. I appreciate your communication. Like, is more delighted and surprised.
Sort of reading the room a little bit, she actually will drop concentration on spike growth and say, then let us speak candidly. What is it that you know? And from there, we can arrange a date and travel out of Flamebridge to our destination.
I'm going to summarize greatly. Selny Vaughn is running a vapor ring and selling low-end drugs to make money, but I feel there's a lot more to it than just the making money piece. And it's also a flower that, from your kind, has significant cultural significance that has been lost over time, that is very important to some aspects of your culture. I kind of look at the group. All right, help me out filling the gaps. I know I'm missing stuff.
We know there's 5 or so other people involved in the operation. We're trying to get out the ones that don't seem to want to work for her, and we'll unfortunately deal with the ones that we have to.
Very well. Well, what I can say is, first off, she sort of gives you guys an inspection and says, you all seem reasonably healthy. I'm assuming she doesn't know your stance on things or your position, so I encourage you to keep it that way. I would also just share with you that the agent of hers that protects the Nightmire, which is where these flowers are found and harvested, is named Asham, a brute of a water genasi woman who is quite fearful in her own right, but also pays a small army to defend this place. It is laden with traps that she can and has sort of escorted me through, but not to the degree that I've been able to memorize them. So I would just sort of prepare yourselves in that way. I would encourage you to consider, if you have any respiratory issues, consider that we will be in dense, heavy fog, some of which is poisonous. And it is a very challenging visibility there. So those of you who have solutions for that may wish to prepare them, but it will be a bit of a slog through the Nightmire. There are both the dangers of Asham and her forces, as well as some natural dangers, and you could say, depending on where you stumble into, there are rumors of what the Nightmire once was, which is that it is the graveyard of a great elven army. And so there are rumors of various undead in the swamp, although I have not sort of seen them myself. All that said, when would you like to go?
And turn back to the team. 3 days, give us a little buffer.
Something like that. We can't leave right away, but yeah, within the next few days.
Does 3 days work for you?
I believe so. She is actually turns around and has like a little pocket book that she pulls out of her pocket with a calendar and says, "Not expected anywhere."
Okay. I think the last question is, you seem to take this as a business transaction. Based on that, do you need any kind of deposit to make sure we're not walking into a trap? Is there anything I can do to make sure that we are going to be good business partners going forward?
I think let's just set clear expectations then. I will escort you to the Nightmire in the locations that I am familiar with, where you can do what it is that you wish to do, which sounds like destruction. I will also escort you into the caverns, where I wish to acquire 3 flowers. I will need your assistance, as there are various hazards that will present themselves during that voyage. And then we will part ways. And as far as Selny Vaughn or anybody else knows, it was perhaps random bandits.
All right. I like it. I know I don't have to have my hands up, but do we shake or?
It's not necessary. Just
All right.
Come back in 3 days.
All right. Thank you for hearing us out and not jabbing me with a bunch of vines and stuff.
Sorry about your familiar.
She grins a little bit at Drada and says, "It's fine."
Yeah.
All right.
I am glad to find partnership.
We are too.
Fireball.
And you leave. Unless you have any last second questions. Okay.
No, I'm just watching for a bird the entire fucking way home.
You didn't see one inside of there, but
Actually, just wait until he gets out of earshot. He's going to turn about. I should never talk that much. Like, this was a bad idea.
It was great. It went well.
It went so well. Listen, the last several times you've done this, again, today, growth. So much growth.
Oh, I love how the Drada's the one telling me I'm growing. Oh.
Aesop says, "I could have done it better myself. I mean, I could have, but I think you did great."
Aesop, shut up. He's doing so good. Let him have this moment.
Fox, you're the best.
Oh, thanks, Aesop.
It's almost as good as when I told her my name was Carl.
But that root that I made you help me buy when I was a weasel, we should take that before we do this because it gives us advantage on saving throws against the effects of poison or toxic substances.
Oh.
So that might not be so bad.
And I'm
I don't need to breathe, so y'all have fun.
I'm putting the shop in the top right corner because you sort of have unlocked it as a permanent shop while you're in town. Should you wish to peruse it another time.
All right.
Cool.
It does not seem to be opening for me, but that's all right.
Oh, you might have to stand next to it. I'll fix that. But where would you like to go next?
I mean, essentially, should we head back towards our tavern and keep an eye out for the Jade Mask on the way there, and then send some messages, go to bed, that kind of stuff?
I think that's probably a good start.
Incredible. Drada's also on the look for Dawnbringer activity, but yeah.
I was really just on the lookout for a beer. This was like this much talking and being like, yeah.
Very diplomatic.
I'm trying to learn. I just can't get angry every time, I guess.
You'd be great as like a hostage negotiator or something. Like lots of talking, real high pressure, have to keep calm at all times.
That does not sound fun at all.
Well, it sounds. If my read of this conversation is that you guys are heading back to the Smelted Tavern.
Oh yes, sorry. That is my recommendation.
Yes.
All right. Does take a little while to get there because you are pretty deep into the city. You after like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, you sort of stumble back towards it. Is sort of in the late afternoon. You with another 30 minutes, you can probably grab a bite to eat on the way in because the Smelted Tavern is not necessarily a place for food so much as it is a place for drinking. And you eventually settle in.
I was going to say, I assume we don't notice any Jade Mask people or anything.
You can roll a perception check if you'd like.
Can we do a group one? Because I think we're all kind of on the lookout.
Sure.
I was saying, at least me and Drada are.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and hit the button.
I just also like the whole.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I still roll like shit, but
It looks cool.
There it goes. Yeah.
All right. What I would say, Clax, you're just digesting the day, and nothing really occurs to you. The rest of the 20 plus crew, you do not see any Jade Mask agents at all, nor do you see any Robins. during your walk here, you seem to. I think like the impression you would get is that, if you're reflecting back on when the Jade Mask was following you, it's like you passed a Jade Mask booth or tent or something like that, and then they followed you from there. You get the impression that at some point they stopped following you and have not picked up your trail again. You don't know that they sort of are watching you at all times, just that they were watching you for that moment.
Okay.
And no, as I said, no Robins following you either. You guys settle into the smelted mug. Bring that back up. And you arrive like in the early afternoon, and at present, you sort of have, you rented the place for a full week. So you have rooms that are sort of like in a separate building that are detached from this sort of main drinking hall. But you have time to talk amongst yourselves, to make any plans, before you take a long rest.
It's so much easier to just kill stuff.
It really is. It really is. Also, what the fuck do we need to know about the astral sea, plane, lake, or whatever? Like, what should we expect?
Like I say, do me or like...
This is like looking around the group being like, I just want someone to have any vestige of knowledge about this, because I think Drada would have next to none.
Like,
I would say Mouse can do religion or history, and Flint can probably do Arcana with disadvantage.
Arcana with disadvantage. Oh.
And we all know I'm really good at intelligence skills.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I've rolled so many nat ones tonight.
Yeah.
I think that's my
With-
fourth.
With a
That's
plus 9,
devastating.
that's still not that bad, but not 20 though. So I think the words astral plane mean nothing to you, Mouse. Like that is you are inferring things that you've maybe heard referred to when speaking about the stars or the Watchers as the sort of like kind of like vague references to where the Watchers live. Which is referred to as like the stars or the light sometimes, depending on who you're speaking to. And I think like the way that you've never heard the word astral plane or astral sea, but you sort of heard stories about what it's like there. And I think you probably dismissed a lot of those stories as just sort of being kind of as just being stories and not anything of meaning. But what you sort of picked up on was that within the astral sea, or within the stars, the Watchers would do combat with sort of with bad memories. There are the stars represent the constant recording of what is happening to sort of humanity, and those are rendered in memories, and those memories can sometimes be corrupted or can maybe need some kind of resolution. Sometimes you've heard of these stories as being attached to emotions, like somebody may be plagued with guilt, and that will be recorded within a memory, aka a star, as a form of corruption that the Watchers will then go back and try to cure or help. And so when you've heard of stories of the stars in that way as being like a place, it sort of like has an air of adventure about it, of of a group of these watchers who would sort of go around trying to hunt these memories or resolve them in some way. You've generally, in these stories, you've heard of people, some of these are sort of connected to the manta rays that your people sort of have back at home, that you would fly on a manta ray as a means of transportation throughout the clouds or throughout the stars. And that some of these like memories that were corrupted would sort of take the form of deformed or misshapen manta rays. Something that sort of triggers in your mind about that is almost, as you're sort of reflecting on it and reflecting a little bit on what Arcana said and reflecting on your time at the Savannah Island, when they talk about the misshapen nature of these manta rays, it almost sounds like an aberration of sorts. And that's what I would say you know for now. It's all very vague. It's all very, like, without being there, you're not sure what to expect. And you're not sure anybody you've spoken to has actually been there.
I'll loosely mention that, like, local folklore tells us some things about being amongst the stars, but that doesn't mean anything, and
So essentially, we have nothing to go on.
Great.
Arcana said we'd be safe.
Our bodies would be safe.
I mean,
Correct?
seems like the important part.
Well, okay. I know I'm just the muscle in the group, but if my soul dies, does it matter I have a body to come back to? Is that how it works? Is it a soul? Is it a consciousness? Are we getting into metaphysical debates? Because beer. I need another pint.
I didn't
If he
take
wanted us to
Coxside.
die, we'd
No.
already be dead. He needs us alive.
I don't think Arcana's gonna try and hurt us. But I don't know what's in this astral sea. Oh, great. I don't know what happens if you get hurt there. Do you just snap back to your body? Can your soul, consciousness, whatever, really get hurt? Are we
Let's
immortal
just
there?
assume that.
Can we, like... I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm gonna sleep really well tonight, and there's no anxiety at all.
Before we do that, Aesop, who are you sending messages to tonight?
Put a beer on it, Jory.
Well, I mean, it seems more urgent to at least tell my mom to tell the recovery squad to be on alert. So I could, let me look at how many spell slots I have. Yeah, honestly, that's probably the best I can do. I mean, I could send more, but it's just like I'd be using my highest magic, and that just feels like a waste.
Well, I was gonna suggest if you could also do Avendir.
Oh, I have the book for that, so yeah,
Oh,
I can
cool.
definitely do that.
Yeah, so you can tell Avendir, and then can we say I short rested while we were eating dinner and waiting for the sun to go down?
Yeah, I mean, everybody take a short rest if it is helpful for you. But Aesop would say, is there anything in particular I should tell Avendir? He said he might be in Flamebridge sometime soonish, if I remember right. But are we trying to check in with him or just give him a heads up?
My plan was to warn, in order of priority, all of Avendir and Button that stars are disappearing, more storms and aberrations might be coming, we're looking for a solution in the astral plane, And if we aren't back in 3 days, blame Arcana. Gather allies and be prepared.
True, the gather allies and be prepared thing is a big one, I think.
I'm not sure. Aesop takes. I think. I'm trying to pretend to be Aesop here, and I think there's the turn of like, what could Jory do to help with this, and how can I justify messaging Jory tonight? But I think Aesop sort of says, whichever of those you want me to take off your plate, I can do it. Well, of the people that I've met, at least.
I mean, if you can let Avendir know in the book, then I can message both Olive and Button.
Sure, yeah. Okay, and I'll do my mom as well.
Yeah, she needs to know.
Raising. Sorry.
DM flub. Aesop is too slick of a speaker to make that mistake. I will spend the spell slot, but functionally he sends a message to his mom and gets an affirmation that they will be vigilant. Who do you... Well, so it's not nighttime yet, I should say. So you feel free to...
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, people take their short rest if it would benefit you or just for the sake of it. Let's do that for Aesop. And after about as you're sort of like finishing up your first round and whatnot, you sort of hear a door opening and Thok walks back in, sort of recognizing the sort of primarily looking towards Flint, but recognizing the group and saying, I wasn't expecting you this early.
Oh yeah, we had an early day.
Yeah, well, let's settle in. Let's catch up.
I'm not dead certain how all the short rest stuff works in this UI. I think. Right. Sure, yeah. How have you been?
Sorry, sort of looking at everybody else and say, do you all, you guys got things to do? Should we make space for me?
I mean, yeah, why don't you join us?
All right, sure. And he sort of grabs a chair and sort of scoots it over, and says, yeah, I sorry, just a bit distracted. It's been a while since I've sat around so many people that I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll like introduce everybody and whatnot, and be like, guys, this is Thok. He's a friend from like my childhood, basically.
Hey, Thok.
Hello.
Thok, cheers.
Yes, and he sort of, I think there's like a stale beer on another table that he just grabs and cheerses you and says, yes, pleasure. And probably not children. How old are you? Gnomes are old? Are you or not?
I think like.
You haven't grown an inch, so.
I should look at my backstory, but I think I was like 15, 16 something when I met Thok. Maybe.
Could have fooled me.
Fair.
Well, yes. And you all are adventurers?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What do you do?
Let me get a fresh beer. I'm go grab a fresh pint while they catch up.
What is everybody sort of like how are you wearing yourselves here in the Smelted Mug? Is everybody just relaxing? And is everybody here at the table?
Like I said, I ran up to grab beer, but
yeah.
as for I am trying to unwind from what the hell happened today. Like, we literally stormed a mage tower, fought a chimera, went to some kind of plane of existence, came back, borderline ambushed somebody, negotiated a deal, and it was all before 3 p.m.
Yeah, so you've had a day.
Yeah.
And you're happy to take a load off, it seems.
I would say same, except Sock's bringing some weird energy right now, so I've got my eye on him. I don't know why, he's just coming in with a vibe, and I don't know what that vibe is.
You can roll insight if you'd really like to.
No, I'm just maybe not the most friendly in the moment. Reserved.
I'm very relaxed. My shield's leaning up against something, and I don't know. I've got probably some random gadget that I was working on out in front of me on the table that I was tinkering with. But
Yeah.
just
Sorry.
hanging out.
As I may, talking about how this day's been, and I'm walking up to get his beer. I'm like, what could go wrong? Now I immediately turn to look at him. I'm like, do I trust this motherfucker?
Yeah, sure. Roll me
I'm
an
three,
insight
I'm
check.
3-4 beers in. This has been a day. I don't know.
Yeah, roll me
Fine,
an
I'll
insight check.
I'll join you in the inside check.
Because I do well in these. Oh, actually. Oh, I still have. I did take a short rest. Technical assessment.
There you go. Drada, you're in a mood.
I don't get up before 11 a.m. normally, and this was an early day, and I'm just out of it. Yeah.
Klax has rolled higher on persuasion than Aesop today, and rolled higher on insight than Drada. Like, Klax
Big
is.
day for Klax,
The
baby.
world is ending. The world is ending.
Um,
Sorry, just drank it.
These I didn't expect you to get as much mileage out of these battle master maneuvers when I gave them to you. I was like these just work with Foundry, but they're actually pretty good.
I'm loving them.
So Drada, you don't really pick up on that much, but I think like Klax, you sort of just in your always being alert. Today's been a day. How could it get worse? You do also kind of get a vibe off him, and one thing I think you sort of assess where he sat himself in the room, and he sort of took the position at the table that is closest to the door, which like is sort of on this map. You guys have your back kind of like to this sort of alcove, and he's sort of like sitting right here with the door being kind of like towards the screen, like towards your face. And you know, although you in the 2 times you've seen him, he does have a spear and a shield, and it's sort of like in this instance you sort of see him sitting on the table with a drink in one hand and his spear kind of like in a walking, like he just sort of is holding himself on it. And I think it's sort of like as you're working your way back to the table, you just realize that like it's almost like creating a little bit of a barrier. Like you have to walk around him more intentionally because he's taking up space towards the exit. And I think that just sort of, and you also just sort of like, he has not answered one of Flint's questions. Flint just keeps asking, how have you been? What are you doing? And he keeps deflecting. And so it's sort of like you notice this as you're carrying, like you're behind him carrying beers back to the table.
So what I'll do is I'll kind of reach over him to put the beer in front of him, so I'm still behind him. Put the beer down, put my hand on him, so I have a firm grasp on him, and say, Flint, tell me a little bit more about this friend of yours here. I don't think I've heard a whole lot about him. And then I'm going to kind of do the, because I'm behind him, he can't really see my head move, but I'm going to kind of give the, something's up.
Flint picks up on none of this and just starts telling stories from when they were kids, or working together when they were young men.
Thok sort of like looks up at Klax, who's like above him. Are you
Big
wearing?
grin. big teethy grin back.
Like a knowing grin, or just like a what are you trying to communicate with this grin?
I'm trying to communicate. I don't think you're presenting yourself as what's going on, and I have a hold of you, and I'm behind you.
He's sort of like you're like Flint is talking him up, and he's just sort of like looking up at Clax, and he says, "Oh shit."
He says, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Immediately do what I can to disarm him, and if I don't think I can disarm him, the axe is coming out.
Roll an athletics check.
Of course. I guess I get advantage on it. Maybe. He rolled horrible too, so it's all right.
You take the spear out of his hand, and like he had his weight on it, and he sort of like falls to the side and looks and says, "Listen, I'm sorry, Flint. I'm sorry. I really didn't have a choice. Listen, I didn't.
Let's go. Move.
Didn't think your friends would be here." And it's sort of at this point you hear, you're not surprised, but you hear the door open, and walking into the Smelten Mug, you see 4 yellow cloaked figures who Flint would recognize as being Dawnbringers, being led by a unifier.
Being led by a unifier?
I'm just showing you the situation, but we're not going to start until next session. Because...
Again, how could I think about all the things we did today? Why would anything else happen?
and we will end there. As Strahda gets his wish, he can finally learn about the Imposters.
Alright, hold on.
Well, I could learn from them, or I could murder them. And you know, that's a really tempting offer either way.
You know what? I like where I'm at.
Yeah, you're in a reasonably good position. The rest of you, not great, but you're not like.
Where are you?
They're like around the corner from us. I can barely see one of them.
I'll drag you guys over just for visibility purposes.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, I'll drag you back, but you are, you know that this sort of direction over here is just like a cooking alcove. There's no back door. You are a little bit boxed in at the moment. But you have, I think, like through this, you have time to strap your shields on to stand up and prepare yourselves. Whereas, like, without grilling him, you might have found yourself a bit disarmed and disoriented. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I should have picked up as soon as he was blocking the way. I should have just said run. I should have just said run, but
Well,
Direct.